Hello everybody, I'm back with another video. Today we're flying the Airbus A320neo, Cebu Pacific. Today we are at Cebu-Mactan International Airport flying to Butuan City. So before we start anything, let's go ahead and let's go into the cockpit and do our preliminary cockpit checks and preparations. First of all, we're going to check if the parking brake is set, which it is. Then we're going to check that the landing gear lever is down. After that, we're going to check that both of the wipers are off, engine masters 1 and 2 are off, and the engine mode selector is at normal. Batteries are both off and they're both above 25.5 volts, so we're going to turn both of the battery masters on. Then we're going to connect the external power. After we've done that, we're going to do an APU fire test. So yes, the fire alarm is working. Let's go ahead and start the APU with the master switch and start it. After we've done that, let's make sure we turn the strobe to auto, no smoking to auto, seatbelt signs on, emergency exit lights armed. Let's go ahead and test all of the lights. Looks all good to me. So let's turn that off. After we've done that, let's adjust the brightness on all of our displays so that we can see them properly. Let's also turn on our EFB, electronic flight pad. Let's go ahead and import the SimBrief data, which I've already filed a flight plan from RPVM to RPME. Unfortunately, we do not have the arrival airport information. We do have the information of our departure airport, which is Cebu-Mactan. And let's set it to the local air pressure, which is 1007. After doing that, our alternate airport is General Santos City, just in case we need to make a diversion. Our cost index for today's flight is going to be 46, and our cruising altitude for this flight is flight level 100 or 10,000 feet. We'll be taking off from runway 4 and landing on runway 30. So now let's set this to 10,000 feet, and the vertical speed will already be managed for us. Actually, first thing we want to do, we're going to turn all of the ADERS to nav, IR, so that will help us to align our navigation system over here, and it will take about 2 minutes. In real life it takes 5 to 7 minutes, but I've set it to a faster time so we don't have to waste any time. This is our flight plan for today. Based on our flight plan, the estimated amount of fuel that we'll be using for our block fuel is 9,767. So for today's flight, let's load in about 15,000 pounds of fuel. I made it instant so we don't waste any time. Let's go ahead and open the door and get the jet bridge going to us. Also, let's get the baggage truck. To confirm that it is active, let's go ahead and go into the APU page, and it looks like it is available. Now that we've established that, we can go ahead and turn off the external power. Since we've connected that, we can actually go to the AOC menu and start our boarding. Let's request it. Today we're only gonna have about 90 passengers. It's not fully booked, so let's start the boarding. While we are boarding, let us go to the initialization and request the data from SimBrief, clear the messages, and clear that message. Now for our flight plan, taking off from Cebu-Mactan, our departure will be at runway 4, I believe. Let me check that again. Yeah, runway 4, Care 40 departure. So down, Care 40, insert. And for our arrival in Butuan City, it's going to be at runway 30, our nav. And it's going to be Kawi to be. Yes, let's insert that and let's go. So check for any flight plan discontinuities and just press clear, and we're done. Check for any more of those and it looks complete. Let's go ahead and zoom out on the map. Set it to nav. Yep, and the flight plan looks complete. I don't see any discontinuities on the MCDU or on the navigation display, so let's set this back to ARC. Since boarding is complete, we can go ahead and disconnect the jet bridge, the doors, get rid of the baggage truck. And then it should be closed. Once it's closed, we can lock the door. We can change this to crew oxygen supply. The cargo door is still open. It's gonna take a while for it to close. Awesome. Let's go ahead and look up here. Turn on the APU bleed. Turn on all of the fuel pumps, ZFW, and fuel planning, block 7.7, confirm it. Clear. Back to performance. Our flaps for today is going to be flaps 1, and our trim is going to be up at 1.8. Flex to the local temperature. That would be 32 degrees. Awesome. Transition altitude 11,000, so we won't be changing our barometric pressure back to standard since we're not going to pass 11,000 feet. V1 is 126, VR 127, V2 at 131. So we can just go ahead and request the pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
So they have lifted the aircraft.
We are cleared for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start. Please release parking brake.
Now we're releasing the parking brake.
Parking brakes are released.
Set this to ignition start and turn engine 2 master on. The engine should be starting up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to your cabin crew who will demonstrate the safety features of this aircraft. Each seat is provided with a seat belt. To fasten, push ends together. Tighten seat belt by pulling loose end. To unfasten, lift top of buckle and pull free end to release. In case of water landing, your life vest is found under your seat. Remove sharp objects from your body. To don, slip vest over the head. Take tape around the waist and push end to buckle. Pull tape to tighten. When outside the aircraft.
Engine master 1 on.
Okay, pushback completed. Please set your parking brake.
Parking brake set.
Parking brake set. Lowering aircraft.
Aircraft is lowered. So the pushback car is gonna move away. Everything looks good. Both engines have been started. We can set the engine selector back to norm. Beacon and wing lights on. Taxi lights on. Arm the spoilers and set flaps to take off position. Let's also set our trim, pitch trim to up 1.8. Let's check the flight controls, and that looks like 1.6. That's not it. Yeah, 1.8. There we go. Also, since we started the engines, we're gonna turn off APU bleed and the master switch. Release the parking brake and spool up the engines a little bit because we're gonna start our taxi. So right. So go to the right.
To increase air and push push pins inward to release air. Light automatically illuminates.
Going. So I'm going to runway. Over here, we're going to so it's going to need a second airport to release for the very large house. But I think you might have only airport that has 2 active runways. I'm actually trying to this. Yeah, it's true. So we're going to take another turn. Now before we head on to the runway completely, let's hold short. Parking brake set. And let's check our takeoff configuration. We should set our auto brakes to max. We're gonna check the cabin. So forward, aft. Okay, the cabin is ready. And for the takeoff configuration, we're just gonna test it. And it looks all normal. Set this to status. Status looks all normal. Also, we're gonna turn our landing lights on. Nose to take off, runway turn off on. Nav and logo, let's just do that. Parking brake, disengage. We're just going to line up with the runway right now. So we're about 7 minutes late. Oh, 9. Spool up the engines. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. As speed flaps up. Autopilot engaged. Lever to climb. Unarm the speed brake, and we're about to reach Irene. I'm not sure if that's on our charts. So if we look right now, we're about to reach our cruising altitude of flight level 100, 10,000 feet. Once we reach 10,000 feet, landing lights go off, runway turn off, nose lights off. Seatbelt signs go off since we're at our cruising altitude. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. As you may have noticed, I have turned the seatbelt sign off, meaning that you can get up to use the lavatories. But while you are in your seat, we request that you keep your seatbelt fastened in case of any unexpected turbulence. Once again, thank you for flying Cebu Pacific. So we're about to reach the point of Irene. As we wait to approach Kirby, let's go ahead and calculate our top of descent. Based on our flight plan, our top of descent would be at before Tubai. At Tubai, we should be about at 3,500 feet based on the approach chart. If we want to be at 3,500 feet from 10,000 feet, we should start our descent about 20 nautical miles before the target. So we want to start our descent 20 nautical miles before Tubai, which is right here. As you can see ahead of us, there's not much to look at. There might be a few islands off to the left here. And I think over here is Bohol. So we're still at a cruising altitude of 10,000 feet, and we're about to reach the waypoint of Bulad. Just chillax, enjoy the sunset, and we'll be arriving in Butuan sooner than later. And I'm just gonna start it right now. 3,500, set this 3,500, vertical speed down 1.8. And before we do that, let's turn the seatbelt signs on. Ladies and gentlemen, we have begun our descent into Butuan City. In preparation for landing in Butuan City, please be certain that your seat back is straight up and your seatbelt is fastened. Please secure your carry-on items, stow your tray table, and pass any remaining service items and unwanted reading materials to the flight attendants. Thank you so much for flying Cebu-Pacific, and we'll see you there in Butuan. The landing lights on. And engage vertical speed. Because we're about to reach Butuan. I think this is the Butuan Bay right here. So look at us. We're gonna land at runway 30. Let's go ahead and let the autopilot manage our speed. That's gonna be down to 250 knots indicated airspeed. Just have to hope that we'll reach 3,500 feet in time. For our waypoint of Bento, we want to be down to 220 knots indicated airspeed. Okay, we've reached 3,500 feet. So now our airspeed is going to be able to go down. But we have to maintain this altitude to avoid hitting any mountains. Been 32 minutes so far. This is pretty nice. Okay, auto brake medium. Spoilers armed. Flaps 2.
2,500.
Gotta be careful over here because there's mountains. Before we descend, a rainbow. That's cool. A rainbow. Let's get our landing gear down.
$2,500.
Yeah, we're dangerously close to the mountains, but anyways, we're above the 3,400 set. Engage
2,500.
manage speed mode. I'll let them manage my speed, and I'll activate the approach phase. Confirm. Let's make our descent to 2,700 feet now that we've kind of cleared the mountains. Flaps. Me 508. Clear. Flight plan 0508, 2,700, 185 knots. Runway is unclear. Let's select speed to 150 knots. Kind of hard to see the runway right now. Check the forward, aft. Flaps full. Autopilot disengage. I can kind of see the runway. hard to tell. Oh, as you can see in front of us, this is the Agusan River. Configuration, all normal. Ready for our landing. No LS. Lower speeds 140 knots. Okay, we're getting closer and closer. 130 knots. This is a beautiful approach down into Butuan during the sunset.
1,000.
Honestly amazing. Oh, a little bit too high, according to the poppy lights. Okay, just right here. I am hand flying this aircraft. Autopilot is disengaged. Auto throttle is still on. Okay, a little too high. Lower a little bit.
500.
Okay. A little too high.
400.
Disengage the auto throttle.
$300. 200.
Throttle is practically idle at the moment.
$50.
Runway
40,
30 confirmed.
30. 20. 10. 5.
Reversers. That was a bouncy landing. Okay. Now let's turn the landing lights off. Let's retract those and retract the flaps. Let's try to do a full turn on this runway. Nice. Return. And back to the days we go. Let's go ahead and also start the APU master switch and start. Now we can set the parking brake. Turn off this. So now we can turn these off. Now these are off. These are on. Go back to the space. Turn the lights off. Start. Mission speed. We can go work. Go board. Hit the between. Just stairs. Not sure if it's work. Anyways guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.